Rosalind, you've been in Panama for a while now, and specifically the Linton Bay area. And I would say you're kind of a pillar of this community, although you might deny maybe phrasing it that way. But you're involved in a lot of really exciting things, which we can get into a little bit later. But for people who might be a little bit daunted or overwhelmed by the thought of moving to Panama or somewhere remote, but specifically here, what would you tell them about your experience or one's experience moving to Panama? Is it easy to kind of get acclimated towards, or what are some of the pitfalls potentially?
Okay, wow, that's a question. So thank you, Allison.
You can break that up.
Yes, I've been in Panama a long time. I've been here 37 years. I came here originally for a job and met my husband here and stayed. And as I was telling you before, this area was virgin. Nothing was out here. And so Alan, my husband, and I have spent our last 30-something years recreating here. But Panama is fairly easy to navigate. So that's a sliding scale, right? If somebody says, oh, I want to relocate and I want to move X.
Sure, yeah.
So it's sort of a sliding scale between what's the super easy and super difficult. But I will say Panama has some advantages that other countries don't have. Remember, we had 100 years of US military presence here, which gave Panama a lot of infrastructure, water, electricity, roads, which helped Panama become much more developed.
Yes.
So then the other thing is English speaking. Because of the Panama Canal and the shipping, English is the worldwide language for shipping. So we tend to have a pretty good base of people who do have a good command of English. And that's always comforting when you're moving to a foreign country.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing about Panama, we're considered the hub of the Americas, right? Because of our geographic location. Sure. So that means we're a hub for shipping, for air, land travel. And with that comes some connectivity that's pretty positive.
Sure.
So we actually have pretty good Wi-Fi, good internet, good telephone, electrical
So you're
connectivity.
not totally off the grid, and people won't feel like it's super different than what they're used to in the States.
Or wherever they're coming from, Canada, Europe. So those, I would say, are probably the top 3 draws.
Got it.
The other thing is ease of getting here. Most people, especially, they don't want to be more than a day of travel. So Panama, we're considered the hub of the Americas. So we have direct flights, Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Miami, New York, Paris, London, you know. So you can get to Panama with one flight fairly easily, and that's another really attractive feature. The other thing, as I was telling Grant earlier, when I moved here, it was 1985, in the last millennium, there was obviously no internet, no cell phone, no social media. And now, when you see what people go through, it's so easy to go anywhere. And I think Panama is a contender. It's a good place. If you can take all that digital technology with you, why not Panama?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, when we were just in the marina, I saw some people doing like what I presume to be some kind of content creation, Instagram behind the scenes. They were actually rehabbing a boat. I thought that was really cool, and they had their Insta handle on the side of the boat. So there's definitely a lot of that happening here, I think, too.
Which is great.
Even though you're off the grid.
Correct.
Yeah,
we're 2 hours from a capital city, and they're figuring out the Wi-Fi. Our marina has good Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
We actually have fiber optic cable that comes down our coast.
By the way, the best Wi-Fi so far I've experienced in Panama is in the marina.
Oh, I'm glad
we were
to
all
hear
very, very excited about this and the opportunity to be connected for a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you, again, for some, COVID has shown us all that if we can work remotely, even part-time, and you have good connectivity, you can be anywhere.
Sky's the limit.
So
Yeah.
we all had to get proficient at Zoom and all of this during COVID, but I think now that's going to serve us well.
Yes.
And the C-Pod's even better because they have all that cool technology inside of them.
So much technology.
Charging your phone on the counter and smart home.
Yes.
I'm very excited about those.
It is really exciting. Amazing. Okay, so, and for somebody, so for myself, obviously, I came from Miami, and you were talking about the ease of entry and so forth, and I saw that. I mean, I was laughing. I used to live in Los Angeles, and so the time that it takes to fly to Dallas is probably more than it took to get here from Miami. So, was very much struck by the fact that it's so remote, it's pristine, it's beautiful, and yet you're really not that far away. It is still central. It is still fairly easy to get to.
Yeah, that's a big plus for us. And again, not just by air. Remember, with the marina, all those people came in their homes. Their boats are their homes.
Absolutely.
And so for them, water is a good way to travel as well.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, so when we were just in the marina earlier, noticed a lot of really interesting, I'll call them ports of origin, I guess, on the boats. And I was noticing there are boats from, like, one of them was from Scottsdale, Arizona, one was from Ontario, Canada. Do you feel like there is a really diverse, who actually is moving here, who's putting their boats in the marina? Where are these people from, and why do you think they're here?
The boaters were the ones who told us, you need to build a marina here. You really need to give us services. Fuel, haul-out crane, ice, convenience store. So what you see of Linton Bay Marina is about a 20-year trajectory. And we have another 20 to go to really build out the community the way we envision it. So you ask the question, and it's interesting, where are they from? At first, they were mostly North American, because back then, boating is a little bit expensive, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So it's considered a luxury leisure sport. Well, now, fast forward all these years later, Brazil, Argentina, Asia, Europe, we literally are a United Nations of clients.
Yeah,
and North Americans are becoming a little bit less of the pie, which I'm actually enjoying, that we're much more international than we were.
Absolutely, yeah, a diverse group of people that are, sharing in a similar lifestyle and a similar, in one location.
And it is a lifestyle. Yeah. You have to remember, for most of the people, I would say over 75% are actually live-aboard boaters. That's their home.
Which blows my mind, by the way, just the things that you don't think about that are, you don't have certain creature comforts when you're not on land, and my hat's off to people.
Well, they are the most innovative people, and this is why I'm excited about the sea pods too, because living in a confined space, not that the sea pod is small, I've walked through that thing, it's immense, but living in a limited space, put it that way, makes you become very creative. And they don't waste anything. They're very eco-friendly. They recycle and reuse everything. They're very conscious consumers. They don't buy things just to buy them. And so years of being exposed to that, I really admire that mindset.
I do too. And it's not something that I think, at least traditionally, I was raised with or really see a whole lot of, even in my normal day-to-day life. So I really love that there are people who are committed to that and who are conscious of these things. It's one of the things that first attracted me to ocean builders and their philosophy in general, is that sustainability and sort of like living, coexisting symbiotically with nature, with the environment, and hopefully leaving it even a little better than they found it, which is pretty cool.
That's a great description. The other cool thing about our coastline, as we are developing, goods and services are coming to us. And because boaters do not travel with cars, they have a little dinghy, they can get into the marina, but beyond that, with COVID, we didn't have consistent transportation on our coast. So the vendors had to be very creative at getting their products to the clients. So now I can proudly say in 2022, you can get everything you want through WhatsApp or text from a provider who will come and deliver it to your house.
Wow.
I can get meat, produce, I get all my fruits and vegetables, the truck comes right down the road. I can get pretty much everything I need, which is also comforting if you think you're going to be moving to a place that's kind of remote.
Definitely.
You might be remote, but you're not cut off.
Yes. Now that brings me to my next question. When you mentioned kind of when you first moved here, especially, it was super remote. Did you ever feel like you were like it was possibly scary, especially if you have kids and have a family? If anything were to happen, did you ever feel like you were cut off from the services you might need, or that you were at all a little bit afraid, maybe even?
So Panama, unfortunately, can sometimes get a bad rap. We get thrown under the bus by the international media because of the Panama Papers or the drug trafficking or whatever. And I'm going to tell you, 37 years here, I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. When I moved out of New Orleans, I moved partially because it's a dangerous city. And I feel safer in Panama than I ever did. Now New Orleans is better, it's different, it's better. But, so the safety factor for me has not really been an issue. My husband does a great job of engaging the people who live out here full time. Actually, when we started coming out here, most of the homes you see on this coast were not full-time people either. They were either working in Cologne for the ports, for the free zone, for the rail, for the military. These were weekend homes for them as well. So we've always sort of had that, we're all in this together. So fear of crime or fear of my personal safety, no. There are times where you sometimes wish, well, you know, I have a doctor's appointment. I wish I was a little closer to Panama City. But under 2 hours isn't bad. And in Panama, we have a lot of remote destinations that are springing up, but they're 5 or 6 hours drive from the city. So when you're looking at us, and we're about to get a new road that's going to bypass that whole bottleneck, so safety, accessibility, I've felt pretty secure here.
That's great. Yeah, that's something I think a lot of people are probably just logistically trying to figure out if they can incorporate their normal kind of lifestyle into being somewhere that's a little bit more remote. But you could probably, I guess, combine trips, like you were saying. You go once a week, go into town, go to city, and sort of stack up your appointments there.
Well, on the bulletin board at Linton Bay Marina, they'll have, oh, who's going in on Monday? Can I share a ride?
That's great.
Yeah, so, and we have all these WhatsApp groups, these texting groups. So everybody's really collegial and helpful about sharing those, that information.
It sounds very community based, and which is really nice. And honestly, that's something that you don't often get in a big city.
Well, we've been able to sort of grow this area organically. You notice out here, there's no Ritz-Carlton, there's no Four Seasons, there's no all-inclusives. That you notice what we don't have. And we're kind of okay with that now. We love Ocean Builders because what they're bringing to the table is what you mentioned, the sustainability, the eco-friendly, the living, the quality of life. But yet, we have places on the coast where people can congregate and be social.
Right.
So you can come and hang out at the marina, you can hang out at the many hotels that have sprung up along our coast, little boutique hotels, little restaurants. So it's in my opinion, it's a perfect combination between you can be as remote as you want and isolated and to yourself, but you also have the opportunity to be sociable. Go to the marina, hang out, have a beer, go to the pizza place, go to wherever. So I think it's a good combination.
That's really nice.
Another thing we've seen evolving, and I know the seasteading movement and the sea pods are also talking about this vibe, the families. People forget a lot of times that, you know, you either have children, you will have children, or you will have grandchildren. And the way this community is evolving, we're multi-age. We are multi-age. So even kids, you'll see kids on paddleboards out there. Yeah. They go into the marina and they order their little soda and they sit there on the Wi-Fi, and then you could be next to a 7-year-old man who's, you know, doing his emails as well. So that to me is a real plus too, because so often you're in a big city and your social group is one age group.
Yeah, very homogenous. Just like you, probably in your same 10-year age range or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's probably more common than not. So that's a really special thing to have that, I think.
And we're very happy that that's evolving. I'm a former school teacher, so for me, seeing that multi-age, it's enriching for the children, it's enriching for the elderly. It's really nice.
So there's so much there to unpack, Rosalind, so much good info. But if you could boil it down, and this is really hard, to 3 reasons why people would want to move here, what would they be?
Quality of life. Number 1 is quality of life. Everybody's from somewhere else. Nobody cares where you came from, and you get to just be with people and have a good quality of life. The second thing is you can have first world comforts in a developing world environment. In other words, we are still very conscious of water. Electricity is can be a benefit at times. So we're conscious of that. We don't take those things for granted. And so the second thing I think would be that consciousness of bringing you back to your roots. And then my third thing, we are fun. Panama is a fun country. There is something to do. Last night my husband and I were at a concert in the ancient ruins, enjoying rock music.
Pretty incredible. I mean, that's...
And then today I'm here at my beach house on the Caribbean. So Panama is fun. That's really the message.
I love it.
Come back.
Come back. It is fun here. Well, thank you so much, Rosalind, for talking with us.
Thank you.